Alrighty, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And in today's video, we're going to finally use the Neon Blue Ocean character against NIHILISTER, because obviously, as we know, she got a buff and her explosion range also increased, and I think they literally only did that for the NIHILISTER boss, or not only for the NIHILISTER boss, but like they did that mainly because of the NIHILISTER boss. So before we get into all that stuff, subscribe, try to get 20 likes. Yeah, NIHILISTER and Neon's new buff. So I'm gonna actually put together a team, and then we'll be back. Alright, so I put on this team here. We're not really gonna be comparing her damage to anybody. We're just going to actually see how well her damage is against NIHILISTER, right? Because now against NIHILISTER, with her buffs on her burst skill, we have access to her first skill again, which increases damage to parts. Not to mention that Dorothy is already given that, and if I was to bring D and we use D's burst skill, because she is an attacker, she would also be getting that damage to enemy parts. So keep that all in mind. Maybe I might try that, right? But yeah, basically she should be fine right along the way. So boom, and then we use Neon, my bad, except say NIHILISTER. Use Neon here, and then boom, boom. So the numbers are looking fine, 20k, 29k there, right? Not looking too bad, honestly. I mean, it's definitely a lot better than what it was before, right? Obviously. But that's all I expect from this type of character right now, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we're just gonna block. And then let's break this gear here and then go for this one. Okay. Right. And then how much is she at? 2 million. I mean, it's fine. Right. I think her burst skill is still, like, against solo bosses, it's still not gonna be all that crazy, right? I think it's gonna be much better in a mob situation, if that makes sense, right? Because obviously in a mob situation, it's going to it's actually going to like get everybody, and the numbers are just gonna hit more people because of the explosion range, right? So I think her burst skill is just better against mobs, but that's just me. Like, what is her? 5 million. Still has the lowest, but it's fine. Like, obviously, it's not a fair comparison because now my new R also has triple overload gear as well, right? She's a character I've invested into, but I mean, it's not really a difference, like, against solo bosses. I'm not gonna lie. Like, in the shooting range, I was impressed because wait, why is it loading like that? Why is it loading for the second phase? What? Does it always do that? Did I refresh? I think I refreshed. Alright, so I might as well try it out then with the D comp, right? Now this next team doesn't have Modernia, actually. Let me just I didn't gear her up. Hold on. Okay, now this this team doesn't have Modernia on it, but this team has the a pretty good, like, what's it called? So okay, D and Dorothy increase all allies, or at least D for attackers and Dorothy for all allies. They increase allies damage to parts. Now the thing is, I have to use these burst skill for Dorothy's for that to happen. But it doesn't really work too much with the Mary here as well, because Mary is increasing our strong elements. It doesn't work as much as I wanted to, right? Because both Dorothy and Mary require me to use their burst skill to get that damage part. Right now we're using Mary's burst skill, I believe, right? And now we're there. Boom. Even with Mary, even with so I guess when D's burst skill comes around, right? Oh, but then again, it doesn't work because we have to use her burst skill. Yeah, it doesn't even work. It doesn't even work at all. Yeah. All right, we're running back the original team because that last team just doesn't work because in order, like everybody has to use their burst skill in order for you to get those, right? Dee has to use her burst skill in order to give all attackers the damage dealt. Dorothy has to use hers to give all allies damage dealt to the parts. Mary has to use her burst skill to give all allies of the water or all water code allies the strong element, right? And then Mary also has to use her burst skill in order to what's it called? What does she have to use her first skill, right? Which is the damage part, right? Damage to part. So it just doesn't work at all because of how, you know, all those characters individually works. It's just not a comp that can work. But it's fine. I think against, like, I don't know, like, I generally don't think in normal, like against bosses, it's the much of a change for the buff. I still don't think, right? If anything, she just went from ass to mid, right, against bosses, right? Which is still embarrassing because her best situation would technically be against a fire boss. Yeah, she's obviously going to show more numbers against like fire mobs because that's just more enemies at once, obviously. But like her best situation based on her kit should be against fire bosses, and she's still just not performing as crazy as I would think. I still think she's just extra damage, which is not, you know, no problem. It's not really a problem to just have extra damage. So there's that as well, right? Alrighty. So I want to try to I want to try to see her numbers like with using the burst skill and then still test it without using the burst skill. I think that's a good way to, oh, we got hit, it's fine. I think that's a good way to kind of like show it, right? Still see how much of a difference it is without what's it called? Thing. So now I gotta do it like probably around now because Dorothy's just gonna one tap and I don't want that. Yeah, Dorothy's gonna one tap. So she's at 7 million. We're gonna quit. 7.4 million. Remember that number, 7.4 million. I'm gonna switch formations. So like this, and then like this. And then we're gonna do it again. So we're not using her burst skill whatsoever at this point. We're not using her burst skill, and then we should see how much she's going to do, right? But I think she might either do more or equal to, I don't know. Now we are losing her first and burst skill, so if she does end up doing more, that still is quite insane. Like, this is quite bad, right? Because her whole thing is that you were never using her burst skill to get the most damage from her, but now her burst skill is buffed where you can actually start getting numbers. Not to mention you have your first skill activated again. So in the situation where she's fighting bosses with parts, she should be doing God's work, essentially, right? Now me bringing, what's her name? Okay, cover. And then boom. Okay. There we go. There we go. Shoot. And then there. So now we're fine, right? I mean, what's her number right now? 3 million. Okay. And this is without her burst. So if she does end up doing less than, like, obviously without using her burst skill, then that means that she gotten better, because before we were never using her burst skill because it would make her worse. So I still think she should be working. At least she should do something, right? But who knows? Anything could happen, right? Okay, so we're reloading. There we go. As long as we never are using what's her name? Her burst skill. That's all I want to see. And then we're gonna try to kill off the boss like this, and then we're gonna see if that's doing something. Okay, so block that. Doesn't really make much of a difference right now, because I think we can heal back up to full, right? I think. Let me reload, and then as long as we're not using her burst skill, that's all I care about. Oh, Blanc is dead. Blanc is dead. It's fine. Still beat it, right? At least we should. Right there. Okay, so let's see. We didn't use her burst skill at all. She did 7.4 million. 6.7 without the burst skill. So that's good. That's good, right? Obviously. That's good because if she did more with her burst skill, right, that means she should be doing and she's doing less without using her burst skill. That's how it should be, right? If you don't use your burst skill, then you should be doing less damage. If you use your burst skill, you should be doing more damage. So they did fix her, right? I still wouldn't say she's doing all that great numbers against this type of boss, even though it's supposed to be her best place. Right? I think really, if you're gonna use her, only use her against just water code or fire coded mobs. Maybe not even bosses. Just mobs, because this character clearly, as like for 1v1. Her versus another fire-coded enemy, she just won't win. She just doesn't do enough for her to like shine. But against fire-coded mobs, like a general base with, especially with that burst skill, she'll be doing good. So let me know what you guys think about the Nihilister and her, or Nihilister, Neon and her buff, my bad. And I'll see you guys next on. I'm out. Peace.